AMD Ryzen 9 7950X3D has been overclocked to 5.9 GHz and delidded. Users will not find hidden motherboard menus to unlock X GHz settings for Ryzen 7000X3D. Those processors are officially locked for overclocking, at least in traditional way. To achieve the best performance out of the Ryzen 7950X3D, users must rely on technologies such as Precision Boost Overdrive 2 or EXPO. But those will not give the best results. Scatterbencher goes into details explaining each of the possible strategies to unlock more performance out of Ryzen X3D CPUs. He explains the differences between two of Raphael dies in the new Ryzen 9 X3D package. This is where we learn that CCD0 has a lower max frequency limit of 5250 MHz and lower voltage limit of 1.2 V. While the CCD1 can go higher up to 5750 MHz and 1.4 V. For comparison, the original 7950X SKU has just one max limit of 5850 MHz and 1.475 volts. With PBO2 and voltage frequency curve optimizer enabled, overclocker can force the CPU to achieve higher frequencies. This requires a lot of fine-tuning, but this strategy can increase the max frequency to 5900 MHz. This method involves lowering the VF curve to force the CPU clock to go higher, but there is actually an even better method that makes use of ECLK feature available for Raphael CPUs. Scatterbencher explains that Raphael ECLK is available for Ryzen CPUs and how it can be used to push 7950X3D into higher clocks. In short, by changing ECLK to 105 MHz, a voltage frequency temperature point will increase from 5.0 GHz 1.1 V 50 degrees Celsius to 5.25 GHz with the same voltage and temperature point. The point is, Ryzen 7000X3D series can still be overclocked, but this requires ECLK and VF adjustments, which may be complicated to some users. Furthermore, the mileage will vary depending on cooling solution, motherboard use, and of course the capacities of each Ryzen sample. At stock, the CPU runs at 4255 MHz with all cores at 0.9 V during Prime 95 testing. The temperature reportedly is 66.8 degrees Celsius while the full package consumes around 121.6 W. By disabling AVX512 instructions, the clock speeds are increased to 4553 MHz, but this comes at a cost of higher temperature at 81.5 degrees Celsius and power measured at 134.2 W. With ECLK PBO-VF overclocking, Scatterbencher reports 4592 MHz, 83.3 degrees Celsius, and 152.1 watts for AVX512 disabled Prime 95 workload. This overclocking brought up to 9% better performance in synthetic tests that were used. Unfortunately, it brought minimal performance improvement for gaming. We may actually hear more about 7000X3D overclocking soon, as another known overclocker der 8-hour had already delidded the first unit. Contrary to what the renders have shown, there is not much of a visual difference between both dies in real-life photography.